Hello, this is Jim Hunt for Bramasol's Insights to Action webcast series. As we come to the end of the year here, we're going to take the next 20 minutes or so and talk about how the SAP market has evolved during 2025, what the major shifts were, and what we expect to see in 2026, and most importantly, what it means for executive leadership. I'm really pleased for this discussion to have Dave Fellers, Bramasol CEO, and John Froelich, Bramasol Senior VP, to share their perspectives and insights, both from working with SAP closely and from the hands-on frontline projects we've done over the year, and from their personal experience, seeing how things developed and changed over the year. Dave, John, great to have you.
Thank you, Jim. Great to be
here, Jim.
Dave, maybe do you want to start off and just kind of give an overview of what we're going to talk about today?
Yeah, we're going to focus on SAP a little bit, and thanks, Jim, for teeing this up. SAP is not an ERP software vendor anymore. They're evolving beyond that. They are a business transformation platform, and they directly impact how companies grow revenue, manage risk, and even comply with regulations. And all of this is increasingly driving and being driven by the need and the desire to embed AI and sustainability into the everyday decision making for the users of SAP systems.
Yeah, I mean, Dave, absolutely well said. I think in this webcast, we can dissect into some of the major trends, the four major trends shaping SAP's roadmap, looking at the broader enterprise market, and of course, add in our own flavor. You and I have spent a lot of time together this year, and seen a lot of change in how these trends are transformational. They're not just technology upgrades, and maybe put it in the cast light of what we're hearing from SAP leadership.
Great intro. Well, let's dive right in and talk first about SAP's use of Joule and how it is changing the environment suite-wide, and how it's creating more interactive user interface.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Jim and John, this has been an interesting year of change, 2025. AI has been a promise and something that's been talked about for some time, for several years. And really early on this year, it is taking on more seriousness in the sense of SAP themselves and customers really talking about AI and how it fits in and how it helps their business. And a lot of that focus, though, in this kind of the first half of the year was a lot on still the talk of what could be, what's coming, how it could be leveraged. But things started changing as the year rolled along. And John, I love how you've talked about that and the way that this has really evolved this year.
Yeah, Dave, I mean, you and I have had the pleasure of being together at Sapphire, where SAP got up and talked a lot about the promise of AI. And we talked about Joule, like Jim's phrase, Joule as the front door and an interface, and how it's the vision of agentic AI. And then in October, we were together at SAP Connect in Las Vegas, and happened to wander up to a kiosk where there were over 200 different SAP AI agents that were available. And when we went back 2 days later, there were over 310 plus agents out there. And I think what it really says to me is, AI has moved from, I think the way you phrased it when we talked about it was AI has moved away from something we've talked about to something that's reality and something we're doing something about and seeing, customers using it for, simple applications, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And in that event you talked about in the October, not only were there the kiosks and all this work going on behind the scenes, but it was really the feature talk track of, hey, look at these AI agents, and they're actually showing us in a variety of areas too, not just the old ones of cash application or something that SAP always uses as an example of every innovation, but they really went well beyond that with HR examples, procurement examples, other things. So it really took a big step forward. And the other thing, John, you and I talked about, and Jim, this is, fascinating, is, customers are literally in their RFPs are saying, what is your AI solution going to look like? What are you bringing to me on the AI plate? And the other part of that is, well, in working with SAP and looking at the software procurement that you go through, AI is a part of your procurement. You're buying AI processing power now. And as John mentioned, those over 300, which you must imagine now is closing in on 400, because that was already a couple of months ago in the rapidly changing AI world. But you're purchasing power that you can then deploy as a customer against the different capabilities that make sense to you. And you can even try the ones and try them out and see which ones you like best, which ones you want to use. And it's ever evolving though, which also is a something for Bramasol as a company to always be on top of, is what's come out next that could be useful to the clients we're working with. When we know about their problems, their challenges, and what they're trying to talking about that digital transformation, what they're trying to change and what they're trying to improve. What's the latest that we can help make them aware of and bring to bear for them?
Absolutely. Dave, you're spot on. As you know, we recently had a client meeting where we got to get together, and the client actually asked us, tell us about SAP's AI, tell us about your perspective on AI strategy, and why does that matter to us? And we talked a lot about the differences between generative AI and tools like Joule that help you answer questions and help you interface with it, but also what are examples of agentic AI, and not, again, to your point, not our GRIR Cash App ones, but, things like SAP's new, agent that goes in and reads, permitting requirements and creates a project plan and something you can follow for that. So I think it's really, really easy and interesting to see, how they can apply that to the space. And I think, another space that we watched, Muhammad Alam get up and talk about, one of the board members, is, for CEOs and decision makers, it's no longer about, running in the future, running a T-code or Fiori transaction, but literally just asking, hey, Joule, tell me about the insights on my latest margin requirements on these products, and what are some of the trends and issues, and what happens if we reprice and rebundle. So I think there's a lot coming in that space. I'm excited for the future. And I think 2026 only bears itself out as seeing even more of that. And I think, Dave, you and I'd be interested in your thoughts. I think we see agentic AI working very well within its own highway or work stream, but now I think we're going to see agentic AI tools that reach across procure to pay and all of the others, record to report, and really reaching across those different work streams and work areas.
Yeah, absolutely. 2026 is going to be a year again of big change and big evolution, moving away from static dashboards and moving towards AI providing you information, pushing you information, pushing decisions, pushing decision criteria. And as you said, crossing those boundaries where, and we actually saw this already, where you're trying to fulfill your supply chain needs, and AI is helping monitor disruptions, global pricing and supply chain issues, and helping prepare for you a change in the direction of how you can continue to meet your demands as a company. And this is just the start. So you can imagine CEOs, CFOs, CIOs are really watching and paying attention to this and how it can help transform business. And you're going to reach a point, and 2026 will probably be a year where this is starting to be felt a lot more. You're going to reach a point where companies that are doing this well are starting to have an advantage that becomes noticeable to ones that maybe are laggards a little bit.
No, I agree with you 100%.
Great overview. How does it play into SAP's push toward cloud ERP and the incorporation of business suites?
Jim, that's a really interesting question. And of course, I wanted to, we've heard Christian Klein and others talk a bit about it. And I think the big thing is moving away from individual applications and individual functionality into this concept of a suite that runs and runs across the business and intersects and brings all of those processes together. And I think it's going to be a very, very interesting space as we watch SAP begin to bring more and more of the different applications together into that space, for sure.
And realize that the cloud infrastructure allows a company like SAP, the investment, the R&D, the innovations they're doing. The cloud infrastructure gives you this power to really work with the landscape on solutioning in a way that is not as easy to do when you're building something that the old style that's going to go and be deployed in customer by customer scenarios. This is then going to cross your customer ecosystem, and SAP is absolutely taking advantage of that and focusing in that way. The predominant amount of innovation and development and improvement and discovery is happening within the cloud framework at SAP, as that's definitely their vehicle for pushing the leading edge technology innovations that they're delivering.
Yeah, I agree. I think 100%, Dave. I agree that it's about speed, resilience, and lower friction, right? You get faster innovation, you get faster information. It's that speed to allow these businesses to react more quickly and to allow them to be more resilient, if you will, in that space, right? One thing I think we all know from watching 2025 unfold is uncertainty, change, all of that is going to be the rule going forward. I don't think it's going to be the exception. It's going to be the rule. And those organizations, as you point out, who can move more quickly, embrace AI and leverage those AI tools to become faster, more resilient, and decrease the friction between processes are the ones who are going to be more successful. And we've watched that, as SAP evolves the public cloud strategy in particular, with the concept of clean core, rolling out all of these innovations on a semi-annual basis. And we've seen that in two of our projects so far this year, where we've watched them innovate real time. And adapting it was actually a lot. I think one interesting learning was at our one client where we went through a go live, adapting the innovation that SAP rolled out was almost a non-event. It happened and all the innovation was there and we had to be aware of it, but it was really great to see.
So in a way, back to the old discussion about build to standard or build to custom, the movement to cloud is really resolving that decision in that you build everything to standard, you have a clean core, and then you customize in a structured fashion on top of that. Is that what we're seeing now?
Yeah, and well, just to touch upon that is it's being built in a common platform, but extensibility and the ability to still for companies to take this technology, it's being built in mind, but in a more comprehensive sort of way that companies can adopt that core solution, but still enable a different unique things that they need for themselves. That extensibility platform is thought out, is more structured as a way to do that. And still honor some of the premises that are really driving innovation right now, such as clean core, not affecting that initial, that underlying ERP framework, but still letting companies achieve objectives that they have to achieve to be unique, to do something that they have to accomplish.
And we've certainly seen it, Dave, in messaging and our discussions with senior SAP leadership, where it's about the public cloud first emphasis and helping customers move to that space, whether they are even larger enterprise customers. We're seeing, adapting it either for themselves or at a subsidiary level to integrate and innovate those subsidiaries quickly, right?
Yeah, since we've touched a little bit on clean core, let's move into the next section and talk more about clean core, but also about its integration cousins, the BTP Business Technology Platform and the Data Cloud, and how all these pieces work together to create a new structure that takes advantage of AI, but also gives companies what they need, both in a standard fashion and a custom fashion.
And this is an area of kind of major change and innovation in the SAP world over the course of 2025, because this is the year of the big transformation from BTP, the Business Transformation Platform, to breaking that out to the Business Data Cloud. And what's the Business Data Cloud? That's addressing that is SAP addressing a driving force that's been going on for several years now, which is data is everywhere. It's growing, it's pervasive, it's pretty much it's unmanageable. And you have great companies that SAP has looked to partner with, such as Databricks and Snowflake, leveraging and using their Business Data Cloud platform to bring that innovation and management. You have DataSphere as an overarching tool within that. So this is a huge area of focus as SAP, SAP understands, and speaking of Christian Klein, John, he was the one to articulate. We know, and SAP knows, that some of the key, most important data a company has is happening in their SAP ERP system, and empowering that data, valuing it, and giving it life through these solutions will give companies more visibility and understanding about how their business works and how it operates and what it has, the value of what it has in it than they ever have before. And that's been one of the big drivers for this push initially in the year. And that was early days, so it's just continued to evolve since then, John, hasn't it?
Oh, I think 100%, Dave. I think you nailed it 100% there. I think from what we're seeing, BTP, we started early in the year about the connectivity, right? The message was, different agents for APIs and different tools that can be used to interconnect. But, as we frame the AI strategy first, AI really only delivers value, when it's grounded in something that's trusted, business meaningful, contextual data, not just data, right? And so, the ability of moving and SAP recognizing that Business Data Cloud is that unifying data platform, right? Why did they position and open it up with things like Snowflake and Databricks? Well, because you want a way that you can talk to that data, manage that data, and read it in a similar way. And I think at the end of the day, for me, it's about, we talked about the CEO who like yourself might ask, how am I doing? What's my pipeline work look like? But if you have multiple data sources and multiple data areas that you fed in, whose number's right? Right? And this is the way that you can take that, contextualize it, create, we'll use the technical term, create a similar semantic layer and harmonize that data together. And I think that's what Business Data Cloud is all about. It's SAP's push to say, look, unless the data is reliable, unless we know where it comes from, it makes sense, and we can use it, it's just data that, Joule can even hallucinate on it, right? So, I think it's very, very important that we look at this Business Data Cloud as a big change. And I think the other big change is SAP continuing to open up, where they opened up to Databricks and they opened up to Snowflake. And I would expect to see other innovations like that.
It sounds like it also, we've talked about this before, it also really opens the door for bringing in external data, legacy data, supporting M&A activity where you're putting companies together, because the structure we're talking about, especially with the AI laid over the entire structure, it makes it very receptive to bringing in new data.
Well, and one thing we know, Jim, is there's only going to be more data. So whether it's data SAP is generating, whether it's mergers and acquisitions, whether it's outside systems, and that's always been a goal for many entities to bring that data together and harmonize it. And so for SAP, I think the real big possibility for SAP is understanding there's a ton of data and valuable data inside of the SAP ecosystem that's as important or even more so than data outside. And so really leveraging the BDC DataSphere tool set to bring that all to life is, there's going to be a quantifiable value that will be very, very powerful and important to companies that they're going to start tapping into as we continue to delve into this area.
100%. Yep.
Great. Let's switch and drill down a bit and we've talked about the broad scope of the system and the changes. Let's talk about what Industry Cloud and what AI and new SAP innovations can do for companies to succeed in their own industries.
Yeah, I think industry has continued to step up. I know I've spent a lot of time with the SAP industry experts, whether it's in telecommunications, media, semiconductors. All of it is so absolutely important and relevant that you have the context around all of this, and that you're helping them in their industries. And we see, more and more SAP adapting the industry solutions, whether it's, like we see in automotive, utilities, life science, high tech, all of the industries we apply to. But I think it's also our capabilities, and Dave, I'd love to get your take on this too, is what we're seeing in the marketplace today is customers whom you wouldn't think are facing similar issues and challenges are. We have a high-tech customer and a fleet management customer whose similar challenges relate to the fact that their billing and their bills contain hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of line items that need to be tracked at a detailed level. Nobody would put a fleet management company and a high-tech company together and manage that. And I think we're seeing that more and more as we look at, other solutions with our two main, our main public cloud customers, Dave, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's a trajectory that's similar that we've seen before, and that is as evolution and technology evolves, as these solutions evolve, they start with commonalities that everyone's tapping into, and then each kind of company, each kind of space needs more sophisticated solutions. And I think what you're saying is the sophistication also needs to cross industries. It needs to cross business functions. But we will continue to see that. And then we will also continue to see where we really push the envelope to the very unique kind of unicorn-like needs in an industry or even a specific company. And that's the balanced power of everything we've been talking about today, Jim and John, is that this evolution of technology, it's not about closing any doors. It's about really opening up doors in ways never before, powered by technology, powered by AI, powered by massive data handling. It's all coming together in a certain way where it's common because it's going to serve unique and different needs for each company.
No, I agree 100%. We see that across many of our solutions, whether it's even in public or private cloud. It's all that evolutionary journey as you begin to create that foundation from which you can innovate and take advantage of tools like AI and business data cloud and everything, right?
For industry focus, that not only SAP's into cloud solutions they're developing, but also the fact that a company like Bramasol deals in a number of different industry segments using all these tools, that you really have that great opportunity to cross-pollinate and take something that intuitively you might not think that a transportation company and a telco, for instance, or a self-driving company have a lot in common. But with some of the solutions, when they start to solve problems about subscriptions, complex billing, quote to cash, then having somebody like Bramasol that has a perspective across something that worked elsewhere, you can bring it over and adapt it to a new arena.
I think a term that I like regarding that is, and it's powered by AI. AI makes this possible to solve problems and handle situations at scale on a one-on-one level, making each individual feel like they're personally being addressed, but it's being handled at scale because of the power of AI.
Perfect encapsulation. As we move toward wrapping up this discussion, let's talk a little bit more about this past year and looking ahead to 2026, how Bramasol has changed to adapt to it and what that means for going forward for prospective customers and ongoing customers.
Well, that's an interesting question. I think I'll take it from one perspective of, what are we seeing from a sales and marketing strategy perspective? I think the first thing I would say is, our strategy of focusing really on our core, our understanding what we deliver from a quote to cash to compliance, really helping customers take advantage of new business models in recurring revenue has served us well. And we started in that space and it got us a lot of opportunity and deals. But like you had earlier in that concept of composable, we've learned a lot and added on a lot to our portfolio and grown our business from really being just focused on applications to focused on helping customers innovate, drive innovation in a meaningful way, and take advantage of all kinds of different tools, both in the public and private cloud. So it's been a really exciting year so far.
I think for Bramasol this year, we really see firsthand in our partnership with SAP and with our customers, the power of the cloud-based ERP solutions, and what it means with the BTP framework, the data needs, and also dealing still in complex environments where there are many upstream systems and processes, companies that may have many different subsidiaries or partner companies working within different landscapes that have to be brought together. So the complexity is as great as ever and only made more complex by the evolving technologies as kind of the old and new clash with each other during this time period, a time of churn, which will smooth out as cloud and AI based solutions and thinking, becomes the predominant way that businesses operate.
Yeah, I agree. And I think your point about, we're moving and applying our deep expertise in places like subscription and usage billing, quote to cash, BRIM, RevRec, and applying those constructs and those frameworks to challenges in a variety of different industries in a very thoughtful way, whether it's telecommunications or energy companies that are building renewable energy platforms and renewable energy areas. They all face those similar issues and challenges that are applied based on our deep expertise, both from a quote to cash subscriptions and understanding how projects and project accounting works. I think has been a huge innovation for us. And we're seeing that continue. I think in 2026, we will only see more companies looking to set up a foundation with a vision towards the future of how they take advantage of these things we've talked about, whether it's AI and figuring out how do I take advantage of the different AI tools available to us to improve and streamline our work and reduce risk, or using things like business data cloud to harmonize their data. We know, many of our customers don't have just SAP, but they need to look across all of their data, and that's something we see coming in the future. So I think it's a very exciting. I'm super excited for 2026. I look forward to seeing, what other kinds of interesting challenges our customers throw out there for us.
John, you gave me a perfect segue to my wrap-up question for both of you. And as we look to 2026, on the one hand, what do each of you think is likely to be, say, the biggest impact from these things we predicted? But second related question, what do you think are the biggest unknowns that may come in? AI is always surprising us. What do you think will surprise us in 2026?
That's a great question, Jim. And I was thinking about that actually. First of all, AI is upon us, but we're still processing and absorbing it. We're still building it collectively as a society, as industry. We're still learning its power. One thing I can tell you from an SAP, ERP, cloud-based, data management point of view, Bramasol helping out, is there's still a lot of hard work right now. There's still a lot of heavy lifting to put this all together. There's a lot of evolution, making sure it all fits. And over time, that will clean up and simplify. And in fact, AI will become not just something you use in your company, helping you do things. It'll also become something that helps you to build things more and more. And when it comes from our world, system integrators, it's already becoming a part of our world, but it'll become more and more of that. So I think there's an evolution there that all around. The challenges are there's a lot of change coming and how to absorb it all. Some of the changes will be good, but we may not catch them all yet, and they may not happen yet. But over time, you hear people say this, we don't even all know, and we're sometimes amazed at the next latest release of the different tools that are out there, the Perplexities and ChatGPTs and all, what they're bringing to bear, what they're now able to do. So it's such an evolving world that the futurists can tell us what it's going to look like 5 years from now, but for most of us working day to day in industry and trying to absorb it, we're already having a lot to just try to absorb and take advantage of now, going, oh wow, I wish I could do that. Oh wait, another week went by and something else came out that's even better or is catching my attention. So how to rationalize that and manage that is going to be one of the big challenges of executive leadership in corporations. How to invest, how to get that bang for the buck. but not always be chasing the shiny penny, which of course pennies are going out of usage. So maybe there'll be less of them to chase, but that'll help us focus on the latest AI.
Yeah, good insight. So it's accelerating. What we are going to be surprised by is how quickly the future gets to us. So those 5-year predictions might be the things that you need to solve in the coming year in order to satisfy customers and make the needed changes. That's interesting. John?
I'm going to take a little different tack. I agree with Dave, so I'm going to take a different tack, and I'm going to use a very old phrase from 1996 in the world famous Alan Greenspan relative to AI. And while I think AI is evolving, and I am continuously impressed by what AI can do, whether it's again generative, agentic, or whatever. I think there's a level of what Alan Greenspan described back in the day as irrational exuberance. And while there's a lot of enthusiasm for AI, I think it's incumbent upon us as organizations to help avoid the emotional investment by companies into just AI and really help to step back and frame how that AI can be applied to business and how we can apply AI and the business suite mechanisms to helping them achieve goals and doing it in a very thoughtful, linear fashion. And I think that's someplace that we'll see our customers ask us more and more about is, yeah, I want to take advantage of AI. I want to be that company, but how do I do it in a thoughtful way that delivers value and doesn't leave my people behind? Because I think that's another space, Jim, that there's going to be some pushback towards the end of next year or something. This is my own gut, where people feel left out or left behind, and we're going to have to find ways to help bring them along in the AI public cloud journey as stewards of helping them transform digitally. So that's just my take.
I love the way you used thoughtful 2 or 3 times in that answer, because AI to the general public is it's like an exciting, shiny new toy that's always changing. AI in a business environment really needs to start with what are you trying to accomplish, and then what AI tools can fit in to help you accomplish that.
Mm-hmm.
This has been a great discussion with both of you. I wish it could go on for another hour, but do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Well, first of all, thank you, Jim and John. I agree. This can go on for a while, and the good news is it will, because the storyline will keep continuing to evolve and change. We'll continue to be fascinated by what is happening and what is possible. So this is a story that's going to be very rich and robust for some time to come.
Yeah, very much so. I agree with Dave. I'm super excited for 2026. We have an amazing pipeline of customers who are so different across the map, from telecommunications to casinos to advertising, and they all are facing very similar problems. And I just can't wait to help them figure out how SAP is going to help them do that and how Bramasol's the right team to help them solve their problems. I look forward to my 15th year partnering with Dave to get this done. So,
well said. And just another note, I heard that this 2026 is Bramasol's 30th anniversary. So I'm sure we'll be talking a lot about that, but that's another big event in the coming year.
It'll be a big year for us. And John, I'm excited to have partnered with you for over half of that time for Bramasol. Bramasol came out of SAP in the 90s we were the innovation from SAP, and we're excited to help drive the innovations with SAP as we move into 2026 and beyond.
Well, once again, thank you both for all your time today. This has been excellent. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right.